Previously, a sudden earthquake struck San Jose. Amid the rubble, Shaun performed an emergency amputation on Vera, pulling her back from the edge of death. During the rescue, Neil endured an old injury and eventually collapsed. After surgery, it was revealed that he had missed the best treatment window. Facing the end of his life, he chose to say goodbye with calm acceptance. Shaun faced yet another challenge, assisting a pregnant woman named Kenzie through an extremely high-risk procedure known as a delayed interval delivery for twins. Miraculously, both babies survived. Transgender man Rio experienced a worsened tumor condition due to an unexpected pregnancy. Despite the risks of a major brain surgery, he chose to save the baby. Shaun rose to the occasion and completed the surgery at great personal risk. Rio's family finally saw a ray of hope. Don't be fooled by the fact that this girl is only 14. Her spine is as fragile as that of an 80-year-old. Shaun was stunned the moment he saw it. It turns out Daria has been training in gymnastics since she was little, but today she suddenly felt like her entire skeleton was falling apart. During the checkup, Claire also noticed an external wound on Daria's leg, which hadn't healed in over 2 months, a clear sign that something wasn't right. Then Shaun found bruising inside Daria's mouth, a classic symptom of extreme dieting. Daria admitted that, as an athlete, dieting is a must to maintain her figure. At that point, Daria's father and coach, Anton, explained that she mainly ate Konjac noodles, but because they're hard to digest and potentially harmful, these noodles are actually banned in some countries. Shaun quickly rushed Daria for an MRI. Anton stood frozen because he had eaten far more Konjac noodles than Daria ever had. Sure enough, the scan showed that Daria's intestines were blocked by fiber and surgery was necessary to remove it. And due to her osteoporosis, the operation might mean she could never do gymnastics again. Shaun informed Daria of the result. Both she and Anton were shocked by how serious it was. They had a major competition scheduled 3 months later. Could the surgery wait? Shaun said it was possible, but doing so would greatly increase the surgical risk and could even lead to sudden death. Still, for the dream she had worked toward for so long, Daria decided to delay the surgery anyway. But then tragedy struck. Daria suddenly experienced arrhythmia and was rushed into the OR. Although they saved her life, everyone wondered how a 14-year-old could suffer so many serious conditions. Further tests revealed unidentified substances in her system. Under Enrique's persistent questioning, Daria finally confessed the truth. She had been taking hormones because she disliked her flat body, but that could be considered a performance-enhancing drug and might get her disqualified from competition. When Anton found out, he was so furious he nearly had a heart attack. It turned out his excessive consumption of Konjac noodles had caused his esophagus to rupture. Thankfully, with timely intervention, Anton made it through the critical stage. But when Daria walked into his hospital room, the first thing he did was lash out at her with a furious scolding. At that moment, Daria finally released all the frustration she had been holding back. Gymnastics had never been her dream. It was her father's. Her late mother had been a gymnast, and ever since her father pushed her relentlessly, training her non-stop. She finally wanted to make her own choice, only to be scolded harshly. Hearing her confession, Anton finally realized his mistake. As her legal guardian, he requested that Shaun be the one to perform her spinal surgery. But doing this meant Daria would have to give up the upcoming competition, so she was furious. After all this time, he finally wanted to be a real father, but it was too late. Not long after she left, Anton's condition worsened. During surgery, the doctors did everything they could, but a series of complications put Anton into a coma. Lim broke the news to Daria. She learned that Anton had been eating the Konjac noodles alongside her and never missed a single training session, so his health had deteriorated just like hers. Only then did Daria realize her father didn't want her to end up like him. That's why he insisted she undergo the surgery, because in his eyes, neither her appearance nor her dreams were more important than her life. Tears filled Daria's eyes as she silently made peace with her father in her heart. When Anton finally woke from his coma, Daria immediately rushed into his arms, and after that, she chose to follow her father's advice and went through with the spinal repair surgery. Parents often place their old dreams on their children. Have you ever been forced to learn something by your parents? Looking back now, how do you feel about it? Morgan's patient is a wealthy man obsessed with prolonging life. Every day he locks himself in a cryogenic chamber at -10 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes straight. But today he forgot to set a timer and stayed in 20 minutes longer than usual. He developed frostbite on his feet. Suddenly, Wyatt began experiencing stomach pain. Morgan immediately checked him and discovered a heart valve perforation that required emergency surgery. Under Shaun's lead, the operation went smoothly. But a surprise followed. Shaun noticed that Wyatt's intestinal walls were abnormally thin, almost like those of a newborn, which led to him developing infantile Hirschsprung's disease. What was going on? After surgery, Shaun ran further tests and discovered Wyatt's cells were unusually active. Early estimates showed his lifespan had increased by at least 10 years. The doctors couldn't believe it. After observing him repeatedly, they finally reached the same science-defying conclusion. 6 months ago, in pursuit of immortality, Wyatt made a decision that defied all ethics. He spent $1 billion to genetically edit and enhance his telomerase. This enzyme plays a key role in controlling human aging, and now it seems he succeeded. He couldn't wait to be discharged and have his wife undergo the same treatment to extend her life too. Even Shaun found his bold plan hard to endorse because gene editing remains an extremely dangerous venture. As expected, that night, Wyatt's condition suddenly took a turn for the worse. He said he felt intense pain shooting through both sides of his body, then instantly blacked out. But strangely, his scans showed no issues. Everything looked normal. The doctors couldn't find a cause, and even Shaun couldn't figure it out this time. That's when they realized Wyatt had developed a brand new illness caused by his reckless gene editing, one that hadn't been documented in any medical record. So now, all the doctors could do was search for diseases with similar symptoms and try to treat it using those methods. With this new approach, Shaun quickly came up with a viable treatment plan. But before they could even begin, another complication arose. Wyatt's pain had shifted to his spleen. It looked like his spleen was about to rupture. Immediate surgery was the only option. Halfway through the operation, Shaun made another discovery. Wyatt's nerves had begun to calcify because of the gene editing. This meant that from now on, he would be in constant pain. Even if he could live longer, that life would be filled with suffering. The other doctors believed Wyatt was beyond saving. But in the next moment, Shaun's mind lit up. Dozens of gene editing research papers came flooding back to him. Then, without a word, he put down his tools and walked out of the operating room. The others found him calmly reading through one particular medical journal. That article described a method that might save Wyatt. A doctor once tried embedding DNA into a virus. Using that virus, they could restore a damaged genome. But if Wyatt did this, it would erase the billion-dollar genetic enhancements he had paid for. So Wyatt immediately rejected Shaun's plan. Compared to the temptation of immortality, a little pain was nothing. He could endure it. But then his wife shook her head. Compared to risky gene editing and freezing himself for 30 minutes every day, maintaining a healthy body through proper exercise was clearly the better option.
You're the one who embraces change. So change to the person who can be happy with me.
Yet faced with her heartfelt words, Wyatt still chose to break her heart. Is eternal life really that important? Wyatt had become obsessed. Even his wife was now just an obstacle on his path to immortality. But ask yourself, if it were you, what choice would you make? Shaun and Morgan were treating a woman who had been in a coma for 10 years. Her husband had finally decided to let her go and free her from suffering. But just as Morgan was about to turn off the life support, Danny's hand suddenly moved. Elias asked Shaun what was happening. Shaun explained it was likely just a final nerve reaction. Still, Elias, with tears in his eyes, begged Shaun to run one more scan on his wife. Unfortunately, the results weren't promising. There was no brain activity. But Shaun sensed something deeper. On the screen, the computer showed red dots glowing dangerously, signs of a tumor. It seemed that Danny's sudden reaction was most likely caused by the tumor pressing on her nerves. Shaun told Elias the news. Elias was shocked. He couldn't believe a woman in a vegetative state could still grow a tumor, let alone a malignant one. But if something this extraordinary had happened, who's to say a miracle couldn't follow? As Shaun tried to convince him to let Danny go, Elias clung to hope and asked Shaun to remove the tumor. Shaun agreed, but during the surgery they discovered Danny's dura mater had torn and cerebrospinal fluid was leaking out. Though they managed to patch it in time, it felt like a last-ditch effort. Then, something no one expected happened. Danny actually woke up. No one knew why, but it was nothing short of a miracle. Perhaps Elias's deep love had touched something beyond science, pulling her back from the darkness. Only Shaun stood quietly to the side, sensing something wasn't right. Sure enough, not long after, the full test results came back. They revealed a large amount of dopamine in Danny's brain, caused by the rupture of the tumor. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It stimulates brain activity and had temporarily revived Danny. But the dopamine was quickly being depleted, and a tumor bursting like that would only happen once. Soon, Danny would fall back into unconsciousness. Shaun had no choice but to tell the couple this heartbreaking news. Elias was in disbelief. Morgan could only offer an apology. There was nothing more they could do. In utter despair, Elias stammered that he would find more doctors to save his wife. But Danny remained calm. She asked Shaun how long she had left. The answer, no more than 24 hours. She turned to comfort her husband. To Elias, Danny was the love of his life. He believed he could still find a better doctor to save her. But Danny already knew the truth. Over the years, her husband had spent everything he had just to care for her. She didn't want him to keep sacrificing. So, while Elias was out arranging her transfer, she secretly signed a "do not resuscitate" order. By the time he returned, it was already too late. In their final hours together, Danny and Elias reminisced about their past, about how they met, and about the beauty of their wedding day. Slowly, her consciousness began to fade, until finally Danny gently closed her eyes. Tears filled Elias's eyes. He leaned down and kissed her forehead, his final farewell. Shaun, who had witnessed it all, quietly turned off the life support. He left those final moments to the two of them alone. This patient almost didn't make it off the operating table, all because he yelled at Shaun. Here's what happened. Chambers was a renowned surgeon himself, but even doctors can't treat themselves, and now he had a problem with his own hands. To get back in the OR, he had no choice but to turn to his peers for help. He handed Shaun a medical report with 98 different tests listed. Once the results came in, the doctors found many potential causes. To get to the root of it, Shaun decided to start by reviewing footage of Chambers' surgeries. Very quickly, Shaun spotted a crucial clue. He went to Chambers, excitedly saying, "Are you autistic too?" Based on the footage, Shaun had noticed some unusual behavior patterns. But Chambers exploded the moment he heard that, "You're the one who's autistic." He was furious. Marcus had to step in with Shaun to apologize and confirm that Shaun was autistic. That only made Chambers angrier. An autistic person can be a doctor. "Get out of my sight." Shaun tried to argue, but Chambers glared at him so fiercely that Shaun had no choice but to go silent. Then Chambers demanded that Marcus perform a brain surgery on him. With no other option, the team began the prep. Just as the operation started, Shaun stared at the scan and suddenly had a flash of insight. He told everyone to stop what they were doing. It turned out a blood vessel was pressing against Chambers' spinal cord. That's what was causing the tremors. The real solution wasn't brain surgery, but a vascular procedure. Thanks to Shaun, Chambers' life was saved. But instead of being grateful, Chambers stayed arrogant and dismissive. At the follow-up meeting, the doctors were all complaining about how extreme Chambers was, but Shaun said he understood. He still believed Chambers was autistic, and growing up as an orphan explained a lot of his behavior. That night, Shaun visited Chambers to inform him about tomorrow's surgery. But the moment Chambers saw Shaun, he got angry again and started mocking him. Shaun had had enough. He snapped back.
"Your answers are fully congruent with someone on the spectrum."
Chambers slammed his glass on the table and challenged Shaun to a fight. During the scuffle, the cup fell and shattered. That only enraged Chambers more. He hurled insults at Shaun and kicked him out of the room. Shaun spent the entire night sitting outside. When Claire found out what happened, she came to comfort him. After calming down, Shaun returned to Chambers' room and handed back the same cup, now perfectly repaired. Turns out he had spent the whole night fixing it. For the first time, Chambers looked at Shaun with a bit of respect. Then, he finally admitted the truth. He was autistic, but years of being looked down on made him hide it, and that led to his foul temper. Shaun had sensed it long ago. That's why he never took Chambers' outbursts to heart. And in that moment, Chambers realized, sometimes the one person you keep hurting might actually be the one who understands you best. So he requested that Shaun be the one to perform his surgery. And Shaun did not disappoint. He cured Chambers perfectly. After his recovery, Chambers offered Shaun his heartfelt thanks. From then on, he would carry that gratitude into the next chapter of his surgical career. A young boy had been shot in the head and was on the brink of death, but his mother insisted the bullet be left in his brain. It turned out that after the bullet passed through Ethan's skull, it shattered into fragments. The doctors could remove most of them, but one tiny piece was lodged deep inside. Surgical tools couldn't reach it. Trying to remove it could tear a blood vessel and kill Ethan instantly. Luckily, the fragment had landed in just the right spot. Leaving it there wouldn't kill him. But during Shaun's exam, he suddenly glanced to the left. Taryn thought that meant good news. Shaun waved a finger in front of Ethan's eyes, but Ethan didn't react at all. That meant the movement earlier was just a reflex, and now they had a very big problem. Shaun urgently called for a full-body scan on Ethan, then turned to Taryn with an update.
The bullet fragment must have migrated. It was a mistake to leave it in.
The MRI results came back, and strangely, there were no signs that the bullet had shifted. Did Shaun make a mistake? No, not quite. Maybe Shaun's instincts hadn't fully kicked in yet. Sure enough, the very next second, Alex told Shaun that they had found another bullet fragment in Ethan's left thalamus. Compared to the previous one, it was buried even deeper, so much so that the doctors hadn't noticed it before. But now it was too late. The fragment had moved significantly, and there was no doubt it had damaged Ethan's brain along the way. At this point, even if Ethan survived, he might end up in a vegetative state. The thought of an 8-year-old boy nearing the end of his life filled Shaun with hopelessness. But even so, the doctors refused to give up. They worked around the clock, searching for more ways to treat him, and eventually, their effort paid off. Though the bullet had shifted, it miraculously left no trace of damage. It must have slipped through the gaps between brain tissues. With this discovery, Shaun realized he could follow the same path the bullet took and extract it without harming any vital areas. The risk was still high, but now that they had a plan, the doctors had to try. Several hours later, the surgery was done. Shaun walked out to the worried family and delivered the final result. At last, the weight that had been choking everyone's hearts finally lifted. A patient simply said, "My feet feel cold," and Shaun immediately realized he was about to die. Shaun rushed to the team of doctors discussing possible surgery options for Artie, including his primary doctor, Nakano. Shaun explained that the coldness in Artie's legs was likely caused by vascular obstruction. Immediate surgery was needed to fix it, but Nakano shot down the diagnosis on the spot. "Who doesn't get cold legs now and then?" he said. "You want to cut someone open over something so minor? Don't scare people with your exaggerations." Even in the face of doubt, Shaun remained firm and warned Nakano that his negligence could endanger the patient's life. Thinking only of Artie's safety, Shaun went straight to the patient's room, hoping to convince him to accept his treatment plan. But because Shaun was autistic and less experienced than Nakano, Artie rejected him without hesitation. Shaun had no choice but to pay out of his own pocket to run a vascular scan for the patient, but the results shocked him. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the blood vessels in Artie's legs. Was it really just poor circulation causing the cold feet? The more Shaun thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. If his original diagnosis was wrong, it could only mean there was a deeper, undiscovered issue. Suddenly, something clicked in Shaun's mind. He rushed straight into the operating room in the middle of surgery. Without hesitation, he said, "If you insert the catheter, Artie will be in critical danger within a second." The moment Shaun said that, Artie's vital signs began to crash. Nakano had no choice but to stop the procedure, just in time to pull Artie back from the brink. Then Shaun finally revealed the truth. Artie didn't have a blockage. He was born with abnormally narrow arteries. That's why his feet always felt cold. Nakano now understood what Shaun meant. To truly fix Artie's heart condition, they would have to open his chest and replace his heart valve. It was more time-consuming and invasive, but it was the only solution. This time, Nakano invited Shaun to join the surgical team. With Shaun's help, the operation went flawlessly. Afterward, Nakano approached Marcus and made a surprising announcement. He was stepping away from surgery. This misdiagnosis had made him realize that, over time, his confidence had grown into arrogance. Had it not been for Shaun, he might have killed his patient. He felt deeply ashamed and told himself it was time to stop before he made an irreversible mistake.